Welcome to Hour 2 of Overdrive here on TSN 1050, up on TSN 4. It's Mail-In Friday, brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. From tip-offs to tie bites and puck drops to pizza, BP's elite lineup of apps, wings, and ice-cold beer is always dialed in for game time. Hustle into your local BP tonight. Man, Boston Pizza will be bumping this weekend, St. Paddy's Day, downtown Toronto, across the country. Boston Pizza is the place to be, house brother.
Noodles, what's the party scene like in the show for St. Paddy's? Like, I know Halloween is just maybe the best parties of the year. St. Paddy's, you still able to get after it a little?
Depends on. So I remember early in my career, I was with the New York Islanders, and we were playing the Boston Bruins in an afternoon game in Boston on St. Patrick's Day. So it was, you come in, I think the day before we'd played in Hartford and then went into Boston, and Quebec at the time. Quebec Nordiques were there. So I remember going to a bar named Dad's by Faneuil Hall, and there were 3 NHL teams in the bar.
Nice.
Literally, the Boston Bruins, the Quebec Nordiques, and the New York Islanders. And it was, can you imagine Boston and St. Patrick's Day with all the Irish Catholic people? Like, it was a circus, absolute circus. But it was fun. Like, that just happened to be situational. I'm trying to think, I don't know. I never was a guy that drank green beer and got too fired up about it. I remember going out with our former colleague, Mike Kelly, who's a big, St. Patrick's guy. Went out with him and his family one night. They got after it, man. They had matching T-shirts.
Oh, wow.
It was unbelievable. The whole family, mom, dad, sisters, the whole family had T-shirts on. It was serious. I was trying to catch up to them. They were on fire. So I think it's situational, though. I don't know every team circles it and go, hey, we need a St. Patrick's party. It's not like Halloween. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Some people take St. Patrick's Day to a whole other level.
Oh, yeah.
There is 7 a.m. brews being consumed, just taking it extraordinarily deep. I remember
University.
Oh, University.
Man.
My God. It also coincided sometimes with March Madness as well.
Yeah.
So it was just an all-day affair of boozing. And both Al's brother and I were up in London at Western Noodles. So you can only imagine the debauchery that ensued.
Good times.
The best times,
here's the
man,
thing,
the
though.
best.
I love how you guys go, well, in university, it was big then. You know what's big in university? Every night. Where, hey, it's a Monday night, and you know what? It's not raining outside,
Barking
so we might as well
frog, let's
go
go.
to the bar. That's the one thing that I always chuckled about, because I started my career with the New York Islanders, and I lived, out on the island, and right across the street from the rink was Hofstra University.
Oh.
So, right on Hempstead, which is a main strip there, it was all college bars. So we would play a game on a Saturday night, and I would literally change out of my suit into a T-shirt and jeans in the parking lot and go across to a college bar, because I was 21, 22 years old. The bar did not accept credit cards. It was all cash.
Sounds gritty. Sounds like a gritty
I remember
spot.
a bar named McKeeb's. We'd go to McKeeb's. They'd keep it open till 5 o'clock in the morning. We'd be singing away, and it was just filth on the floor. The bathroom I felt like it was a Gatorade jug. You just took a leak in there. It was just gritty. But that was my college experience, because I never went to college. But I felt like the amount of goons that went and just got drunk on every given night and just paid cash for it, because there was no credit cards or tapping back then. This was 30 years ago. So it's just go have a good time.
Dollar beers at Jack's on Richmond Row. Monday night dollar beers. It was a time.
Yeah, we got to go back in time. House brother. Let's head to the Maple Toyota hotline now, where we welcome in our man, Mike Johnson, TSN Hockey analyst. MJ, any glorious St. Patrick's Day memories from your youth?
Interesting. What can I remember? What can I say? Okay, listen. So I remember one time when I was playing, and we happened to get into Chicago on St. Paddy's Day with no game until Tuesday.
Ooh.
And it was a rugged practice on Monday, if you can imagine. It was one of those ones, I'm not a big drinker to begin with. I'm not a big St. Paddy's guy to begin with. but it was like a 14-hour shift all over the city, the entire team. And then we came the next day was just a write-off. And then I think there was one, maybe, I don't know, it would have been 15, maybe a bit more years ago or so, and I was rummaging around downtown Toronto, and I ended up at this like tent party that was in the square around Roy Thompson, right across from like the CBC building, where that little park is there, right across from the Ritz-Carlton. And they're playing Irish music or whatever, and this guy bumps into me, says hello, and he just looks, hood up, beer in his hand, kind of like a little disheveled, and it was Gord Downey.
Oh, no way.
and he sat and talked to us for like, an hour. It was the coolest like kind of interaction with him. And he's a pretty shy guy, not usually that social, but that was kind of the highlight of, I think, all the St. Patty days I've ever had, was the hours spent with the lead singer of the Tragically Hip. But now I have a daughter in university who goes to Queens.
Oof.
And apparently Queens is notorious for this day and this weekend. So I sent like a warning preemptive text, have fun, be smart, and try not to get arrested.
No, or fall off a roof.
Those are good. That's good advice, right? Like
Great advice.
Have fun, be smart. I like the third one though. Like, try not to have the authorities call me at 3 o'clock in the morning saying we've got so and so in custody.
Exactly. That's all we're looking for. Clean record at the end of the night.
Mike, you were on the call last night. TSN 4, the Leafs and the Flyers. The Leafs took it to Philly 6-2. I wanted to get your take on what happened at the end of the game, where Rocky Thompson, who was in for Torts, he and Brad Shaw were coaching the Flyers, weren't overly enthused with Sheldon Keefe setting out his top power play unit. Can you take us through what you heard, what you saw at the end there?
So, and I knew it was going to happen. It was 6-1 at the time, and Yarncrook had been out, so the lines were all juggled around in the third period, and it was getting a little bit chippy, as it can get at times. And the power play was called with a couple minutes left in the game, and Sheldon Keefe put out Riley and Tavares and Nylander and Matthews and Bertuzzi. And it didn't even start with Rocky Thompson, because I'm between the benches, and I'm waiting for a reaction to see if it's going to happen. And it starts with the player. I think Joel Farabee, who's not a super physical guy, he's sitting beside me on the bench, and he turns over and he's like immediately like, what the, starts screaming down the bench, and then Konechny gets involved and Garnet Hathaway, and everyone's beaking down the bench, and that kind of gets Rocky Thompson's attention. He starts going after Sheldon Keefe, and Sheldon Keefe is saying back to him, what do you want me to do? We got nobody out. Our lines, we're missing players. Our guys are tired. Leave me alone, kind of thing. And Rocky Thompson's telling him, like, wake up, grow up. What are you doing? Back and forth. And I was of the mind that, like, who cares? So he plays 33 seconds as the first whistle. He pulls the first unit off after 33 seconds, which was obviously, I think, in reaction to the reaction of Philly's bench. They put out Dewar and Reeves and Holmberg, effectively the fourth line, and then they get scored on shorthanded. So, which drives home my point, and here's my take on the whole thing. So then Sheldon walked it back after the game, like, I wasn't trying to be rude. We had guys that were tired. We're down bodies. We just put out the guys who were ready to go. And I'm like, you don't need to apologize. This is not Timbits. This is not Pop Warner. This is not Little League. This is the pros. If you don't want guys to put a power play on when they're winning by a lot, don't let them win by a lot. If you don't want guys to score on the power play, stop them. Like, don't complain. Don't look for something to be upset about. Go stop them. And the fact of the matter is, you're asking the Leafs to put on not their best power play group. I don't see you taking off your best penalty killers.
Yes.
I don't see you telling them not to try to stop scoring. I see Couturier to Sanheim to Forster to the back of the net. So if you're not going to take your best guys off, why the hell do I have to take my best guys off? It's ridiculous, let alone Marner's not playing. Bertuzzi and Tavares never exist on the power play together. They don't even practice that. The power play has been struggling. And I don't care if I'm trying to get Willie Nylander 40 goals or Austin Matthews 70 or Tyler Bertuzzi to get a couple more because he had a great game and we're trying to get him to feel good about himself. I'm worried about me. I'm not worried about hurting your feelings because this is professional hockey. There are no feelings to be concerned with. And I'm also not worried about, well, what happens when you're losing 7-1 and they put their top group out? Go ahead. I don't care. I'm not happy about losing. I don't care about who you put on the ice. So it was fun, though. I mean, it was chippy and guys were going back and forth and lots of dialogue. But I had no problem with what Sheldon Keefe did. I only wish he didn't feel the need to sort of walk it back post-game because he didn't do anything wrong. The people who should be upset is Philly because they're getting whacked 6-1 at home. That's who they should be upset by, their own team, not what the Leafs are doing.
Yeah, I agree. You don't want to be pissed off about it. Don't put yourself in that situation. The only thing that does, and Johnny, this is probably in a past life, when if you put guys out near the end of the game, there's always the risk that somebody decides to take things into their own hands, slash into the wrist, that type of stuff where, God forbid you're up 6-1 and your top power play is out there and the net front defenseman decides to slash a guy in the hand. And all of a sudden he potentially out. That's the only thing that worries me when games are out of hand. Outside of that, you're right. Like you want to be pissed off about it, well then don't be down 6-1 and play better in those situations. I've had a few in my career and been on both sides. I'm sure you have been, Johnny,
for
in
sure.
your career, where I was telling the story in the last hour where Alain Vigneault put out his top power play when I think they were up like 6 or 7-1 against us when we were in Calgary. And he sent a note over afterwards saying, hey, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but Henrik Sedin he's trying to win the Art Ross. And I want to give him every opportunity. It was the last game of the season. So there was logic behind it, and we knew we were in one. We weren't making the playoffs, so I don't think we didn't take it that hard. But I do remember a few guys on the plane afterwards saying, like, there was temptation to take a swipe at him. Take a swipe at his hands or run him into the boards in a physical battle in the corner. That's my only concern at 6-1 because I agree with you. Like, you don't like it, then don't put yourself in that situation.
I get what you're saying, and if that and it makes sense. If that's the case, then don't play any of those guys at all the last 10 minutes. Forget about the power play. If you're worried about them getting roughed up, then they shouldn't.
Yeah.
You probably don't put them on at all. And Sheldon Keefe was, not playing them as much, but I don't know. I mean, and the idea that they play again on Tuesday, so perhaps you're lighting a fire. But I'm thinking, if Philly needs a power play injustice to light a fire while they're trying to make a playoff race, like, come on, what are we talking about here? And again, it's not like the guys weren't playing hard against the top players the whole game. So I thought it was, and it's not just because it's Toronto. I'm on board saying this for several teams. Every time it comes up, I'm like, this is ridiculous that people get so bent out of shape about this. It's so stupid. And I think it was again last night. So who knows? And the fact that they scored a shorthanded goal sort of diffuses the entire merit of Philly's argument that somehow what the Leafs were trying to do was unfair. So whatever. It was a good game for Toronto. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Don't let it hide the fact that Toronto played well. They looked like they were well rested. They were quick, making good plays with the puck. Noodle Samsonov again was solid. Didn't have to be great, but was good. Solid. Kind of moving under control and battling hard. And it's crazy to think about his journey that he has gone from starter to a guy that we weren't sure if he would ever play in the NHL again. Like that's sort of where it looked like he might be getting to a guy who now, if we looked at the numbers last night, incredible to say, has the second best winning percentage in the entire NHL amongst guys who started 20-plus games, behind only Sergei Bobrovsky. Like, say what you want about the goals against, the goals saved above expected. Guy's won. He's won second most frequently in the entire NHL, and if the playoffs start tomorrow, it's no question who the goalie is, and it's Samsonov. And I think at this point, the Leafs and Samsonov should feel pretty good about where his game is at.
Yeah, Johnny, I want to get to the goalie quickly. I want one last bow on the power play thing in that. Do you think there would be a different reaction if Torts was on the bench? I thought about that too.
Yeah.
Either one way or the other. Either Torts is like giving it to his players saying, shut up, we needed to play better, or maybe going after, or maybe Sheldon doesn't do it because he's staring across at Torts, and Torts is a big, the defender of Sheldon. I remember. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I thought to myself, you got the substitute teacher over there on the bench, and I know Shawzy and I know Rocky pretty well, but that's not Torts. So I thought about that too, as to maybe Sheldon, and I understood his argument. Like, hey, guys are tired. I just want to get them going. Their power play hasn't been great in the last 8 games. Get them to run some routes. So there was a lot of different things, but I'll get to Samsonov in a second. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on if Torts, him not being there might have been a factor too.
I first would say I would hope not. I would hope Sheldon would not change a thing he's doing based on who's coaching the other team. But
agreed.
The fact remains, Torts is a monstrous personality, and maybe just if Torts is there, you might be anticipating a conflict, and maybe you don't even go down that road because it's not worth your while. I don't think Torts would be getting on his team. I think Torts would be coming across the bench at the least, 100%. He might give it to his team in the room, which I've heard firsthand, but in that moment, he would be defending his team loudly over the glass at Sheldon Keefe. I would imagine if he was going to do anything.
Yeah, and as far as Samsonov, Johnny, which made a great point, I asked the guys in the last hour, if playoffs start, like, where are you at with him? Are you back a believer, or is he the Jekyll and Hyde, and you're concerned that what you saw 8 weeks ago, could still jump in or creep into his game?
I mean, I guess there's a smidge of doubt if that had not occurred. But, I mean, I guess I'm riding the wave, and I think he looks confident. I don't know what exactly he went through when he was away to sort of reset himself technically or mentally and emotionally. But he seems to be in a better place. And last year he was a really good goalie, and, since he's come back, he's been a really good goalie. So you would be probably concerned a little bit more than you otherwise would be. But, no, I mean, I guess I'm a believer that I believe he's going to play well because since he's come back, he's pretty much played well every game.
John, I'm about to say something that if O was on this program would probably vomit on himself. But
Wow.
I thought Timothy Liljegren had himself a really good game last night. And if you dive into the numbers, it backs it up. Led the team with an 85% expected goals, 9-0 high danger chances, and he had 63% D-zone starts too. So it's not like he was being gifted with a bunch of, simple minutes. So, how much did Liljegren, a guy where there was a lot of spotlight on how he was going to play coming out of this break, like, how much did he help his case for him to become a mainstay in this lineup?
Well, I think the fact that they pulled Benoit out of Montreal tells you how much they want and sort of need a right-handed Liljegren to be good. That they're giving him every opportunity. I think maybe playing with Edmondson could really help him, kind of stabilizing big rugged guy that does some things that Liljegren doesn't do as well. Yes, he started his own end, but he did get to play with the top lines with Matthews a little bit, and that does help. Like with Liljegren, maybe when I watch him, it's almost like if he handles the puck cleanly, which is not an easy thing to do as a defenseman under duress, you get hit, all the rest of it. But when he handles it cleanly, he has a good game. And when he sort of is chopping it up and kicking it around, I don't know if it's a confidence thing or it's a pressure thing. He just doesn't play nearly as well, and he handled it clean last night. He was making good plays and putting pucks in the right spots and making good passes, and when he does that, he's good. And I don't know if at the end of the day, what we're learning about Timothy Liljegren today is that as a first-pair guy, maybe he's not exactly what you want, but as a third-pair guy, he will do well in that role, like very well in that role, and maybe that's what he'll end up being. If it's going to be Riley and Lyubushkin as whatever, and Brody and McCabe as they're the top four, if they're the third pair, I think that could work. And I think Sheldon Keefe knows that it's important that the team is better when it does work, and that's why he's given every opportunity. He made the most of it last night. Now he's got to back it up again, next game and build on it. Build a reservoir of confidence so when it doesn't go well for a game or two, you don't get all the way back down to where you're saying, I got to reset. I'm trying to rebuild myself back up, because you have enough good stuff there to withstand the odd bad moment.
TSN Hockey analyst Mike Johnson, our guest here on OverDrive. MJ, let's talk about the Eastern Conference wildcard race. Philly, a couple of really bad losses in their last 3 games. They lost 7-0 to Tampa, who were incredible last night against the Rangers. Braden Point had 6 points. Kucherov had 5. We saw, of course, the New York Islanders lose to the Buffalo Sabres, who've been hot here of late as well. Washington, a big win over Seattle. How do you see this all shaking out at the bottom of the Eastern Conference playoff
Detroit
race?
Loss, too.
And another Detroit loss, yes.
Yeah, to Arizona again. And Detroit plays Buffalo tomorrow. So, that's a massive game.
Buffalo's creeping in there.
They've got a chance here. They've got a chance.
Radiohead creep right now, absolutely. UPL has been really good for 2 months in Buffalo. So here's how I see it shaking out. I think Tampa's going to get there. One way or another, Tampa's going to get there. They're good players. They're too good. I don't think they have a great team. They're not great defensively. Vasilevsky's been just okay, but they're going to get there. I think there's 2 spots up for grabs. Third in the Metro and the second wild card spot. And I'm not sure who, I look at Buffalo, it feels like they're too far gone, but they do have, games against the teams they're chasing, and the teams in front of them are sort of backing up. but they got to get the wild card spot, right? They can't get third in the Metro. They have to pass all those teams to get third in the second wild card spot. Tough to do. Washington, who's only one back of the Islanders and Detroit, I think 71 points to their 72. I look at Wash, and there's nothing about that team that looks like a playoff team. Like I feel like they're 15 points out, not one. And yet there they are, just one. Goaltending's been really strong for them. Again, I don't know if I buy what they're selling, except for Philly backing up. I think the Islanders have a good chance to go catch Philly, and then it will be between Philly and Detroit and Buffalo and Washington for the second wild card spot. That's how I see it shaken down with a month ago. Obviously very tight, but it just, I don't know, on hunches, on the way they're playing, it feels like it might get in that direction.
Mike?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, House Brother.
Well, I honestly I agree with that sentiment. One of the trades that went kind of under the radar on deadline day, it was the first one that happened, but it was Evgeny Kuznetsov. Really good feel-good story. Last night, scores a goal. I think he had 2 points in the game. The storm surge was him doing the bird, and then afterwards there was a clip of Brendan Moore coming in saying he hated it when he was playing against him, but now he loves the bird celly. Johnny, like when you look at Kuznetsov, like how big of a pickup do you think he can be for the Hurricanes? Like, can he kind of be that sneaky? And he plays a different style, but like one of those Lehkonen, Nick Paul, Barbashev-like moves where it was, not necessarily the top guy, but he's going to be very impactful for this team in the playoffs.
I think so. I mean, if he's anywhere remotely close to right, he's so talented. In fact, he probably should have won the Conn Smythe when Washington won the Cup 5 years ago, whatever it was. He's that good. He led the playoffs in scoring. And if you think about what the question marks were for Carolina is, okay, who's going to play in net? Because it's been not good this year. Well, Freddie Anderson's come back. And it's awesome to see him healthy, but also playing well with a shutout last night against Florida was really good on a good defensive team. And then they haven't been able to score in the big moments in the playoffs. That's what's plagued them. And so they go out and get the best goal scorer in Gensel. He'll help. And then they go and get Kuznetsov. The previous second-line center for Carolina would have been Kotkaniemi or Jack Drury. Like not real elite-level offensive producers. So Kuznetsov doesn't have to be a 90-point guy. If he plays like a 60-point centerman, he's going to be an upgrade on what they have. And I think right from the get-go, you can sort of hear in the comments from Kuznetsov that he realizes the importance of this moment, that it is kind of, if he wants to continue his NHL career, he has to make the most of this. I don't know what he went through when he was away, but hopefully he found sort of some peace and some love for the game and some passion to play. And it looks like he's really embraced being down there and his family down there and, doing the bird thing after the storm surge. Like, that is an entire community saying, we're welcoming you in.
Yeah.
Like, we want everything about who you are, we're down with. Like, we like that guy. We like that player. We like your family. Come on in. You're part of us now. And I think that would be, like, that would have been a really, I mean, if you think about where he has been in the last 6 weeks, I bet he went home after the game and almost like, would have been emotional about how sort of the journey and how it's all kind of come to a really good spot for him. And if he's in a good spot, they're a way better team with him as a second-line center.
Mike, great stuff as always. We'll talk to you again next week. Thank you for this.
All right, boys. Have fun this weekend. And remember, be smart, have fun, be smart, don't get arrested.
Don't get arrested.
The wise words of TSN Hockey analyst Mike Johnson.
That's especially for you, AP.
Yeah, exactly. You need to heed those words. You should get that tattooed on your body somewhere else, brother.
What, I'm going to be on a boat?
Well, or Mike Johnson's advice. That would also be good. You're always on a boat. I mean, you take more cruises than anybody else. So,
what do you guys do on the boat? Like, you go on a boat more than people drive cars.
I know. I know. They keep giving us free cruises. What do you?
They.
I mean,
what do you mean?
Who?
Well, come cruise with us. Like, okay, sure. Free food, free booze, good time, good drinks. Do a lot of gambling. We're a big gambling family. I spend a lot of time at the blackjack table when I'm on these cruises.
Love it.
Noodles, if you go to Vegas and you lose a ton of money, you know what generally happens? Hey, come for a free room. You need a suite here.
Free.
Yes. Mike Johnson, join us on the Maple Toyota hotline. Check out Maple Toyota's huge truck and SUV lineup, including Tundra, 4Runner, Highlander, and Grand Highlander in stock and ready to deliver. Visit mapletoyota.com. Al's brother, you are ready to deliver. On the other side, it's the filter. It's your signature segment, and it's next on Overdrive.
No filter?
You have no filter.
That's
It's obvious.
That's true. That's a good
Just
thing.
say whatever comes into your mind.
Yeah.
You don't really modulate your feelings at all. I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's a good thing for me, but it's a bad thing for water.
We're back on Overdrive. Korolnek, DeStefano, McLennan around the table. This is The Filter. You heard a clip from Curb Your Enthusiasm. Are you guys watching the latest season that is currently ongoing of Curb?
I want to. I'm not there yet. I think it's on Crave, right?
Yes.
Is it? Yeah. So I on the road can't get it when you're in the States and all of that. So I'm waiting till I get home and then I'll binge watch it. I'm watching right now on Netflix called The Gentleman.
Oh,
it's pretty good.
dude,
It's awesome.
The
It's on my
Gentleman is incredible. I finished it
awesome.
last week.
Yeah,
Theo James, that is an
Yeah,
actor
I've
right
heard good
there.
things.
Huge
He's
fan.
awesome. And Guy Ritchie did that.
Guy
whole-
Ritchie, that's right. So there's a
Yeah.
movie called The Gentleman and the TV series that just was released called The Gentleman,
Yeah.
which I think is sensational, as will
Yeah.
be this segment. It's called The Filter. It's hosted by Al's brother. Take it away, buddy.
Well, we haven't played this in a while, eh, Noodles? It's been quite,
it's been a bit.
some time since we've done The Filter. So for those who forget how it's played, essentially I got some takes, and I got them locked and loaded in my drafts on Twitter. And basically, y'all need to tell me, is it if it's a good tweet, send it. If it's a bad tweet, delete it. And if it's just a take that's absolutely absurd, delete your account is the response that you'll give for that one. So let's start with some hockey, as per usual. We'll start with the Maple Leafs and Tyler Bertuzzi, who was a stud last night. Possibly could say it was his best game as a Toronto Maple Leaf. Tyler Bertuzzi will be a more impactful playoff performer than John Tavares.
Noodles?
I want to say send it, just recency bias, because, JT is where he is right now. And, it's kind of like this unwritten, hey, don't talk about him. He makes $11 million. Like, he's just had an okay year,
Yeah.
and you look at it, like John Tavares as a Toronto Maple Leaf has been fantastic. Point of game guy, done, been a good ambassador, all of that, captain. But if you just put your business hat on, is his production been worth $11 million? No, it hasn't. So I look at Bertuzzi, who has really come on lately, and I think he's the type of player that is going to be impactful in the playoffs because you're going to need that type of player that, and I talked about it before, Zach Hyman, settle in and be impactful. So I'm going to say send it, but it's recency bias, and I don't want to get too carried away, but I feel like that's a pretty good take.
It is recency bias. Do not send this tweet, Al's brother. Don't send it. Don't delete your account, but keep it in the drafts. How quickly we forget John Tavares, the most iconic goal in the last 20 years of the Toronto Maple Leafs playoff history. He had a hat trick as well against the Tampa Bay Lightning in the postseason last year. So do I think John Tavares is playing at the same level as even he was last year? I don't, but I truly believe he will be on PP1 and he will be a significant enough offensive performer to outpace the production of Tyler Bertuzzi.
Where do you guys think his spot in the lineup's going to be at 5-on-5?
It's a great question.
Honestly,
Third line.
You think that's where he ends up?
I do, just based on where I think Max Domi, what he brings, there's some speed there, right? And like the game depends on who you match up against, right? But I think speed is the game. Now Tavares is really good from the dots down, strong on a stick and win physical battles, but speed is a big part of it. So if it's going to be ground and pound him, then maybe Tavares is the guy. But if it's going to be, hey, we're gonna use our speed and use our skill type of thing, I think Domi slides in there. That's where AK, you made your point, but you actually made your argument for me too, because it was last year. Last year he was a big, this year he looks a year older. He looks, he looks on nights.
Without a goal at 5-on-5 this year.
I know. I'm just saying.
Tyler Bertuzzi went how many games without a goal?
Agreed.
That's fair.
Agreed. 100%. Tyler Bertuzzi and Max Domi for the first 3 months of the season, we were talking, on our show, on this show about, hey, you know what, signings haven't worked yet. Hasn't been there. Now they look good. So that's why I said recency bias. But John Tavares last year compared to this year, it's been a big drop off. He was a point a game guy last year. He had 80 points. He's a 46 and 63. What's that pace? That's a 60-point pace this year?
Not even, I don't think.
Probably in that range.
Right? It's thin, right? So you just have to look at what he is right now. And right now, I think he slots in your top 9. I think he can go on your PP1 because he's strong and got a good stick. But I still think that Bertuzzi is a guy who's going to be impactful in the playoffs, or has to be if they're going to do anything.
Yeah, that's what he was brought in here for, right? Like, to be a playoff performer. And last year, through 7 games with Boston, ended up with 10 points in 7 games. So that was his first little taste of playoff action. Hopefully, the Leafs hoping that he could replicate that this year for them. All right, the next one. It's pretty short and sweet. The Wings are frauds, guys. The Wings are frauds.
Couldn't even capitalize Wings, Al's brother? I mean, just
they don't deserve it.
They clearly, you think they're so fraudulent that it's like wings as in chicken wings. That's the way.
Those are not fraudulent. We all know that chicken wings are the real deal, holy
Chicken wings, definitely not frauds.
Detroit Red Wings, however, I have not liked what's going on over there. I mean, they've lost 7 in a row, and they're losing to bad teams, guys. Like, that's in this 7-game stretch, they've lost 2 against the Yotes. They got dummied 7-3 against Buffalo, and like they're just really struggling without Dylan Larkin. I know, he's their best player, so most teams are going to struggle. But this is a squad that a month ago it looked like they were, heading towards the playoffs, and now I think it's more likely they miss than make.
I'm saying leave that in your drafts. Not delete your account, but like every team in this league has hit the ditch at some point. Now, who are the top teams? Florida, I guess. Vancouver's had a stub your toe situation. The Leafs, Edmonton. Like, look at all the top teams. They've all had some form of adversity this year with injuries or inconsistencies. This is Detroit's time, and it's the wrong time because losing 7 in a row, like there's no sugarcoating that. You stink lately. But I don't think they're frauds. I think their power play needs to get going. They do miss Larkin. I do think they need a save. They haven't been getting the saves that they wanted, where Alex Lyon and James Reimer were really good when they were rolling. But I think there's an opportunity for them to stabilize. Confidence is a fragile thing in this league. And we see, when Detroit was playing good, they were playing confident. Now that they're not playing good, you can see they're fragile. So I think they'll get out of it. So I don't think they're frauds. So I'm saying leave it in your drafts, AB.
I am with you, Noodles. I completely agree with everything you just said. And I guess my question with Detroit is, like, what did we really expect them to be? Like, I don't think anyone thought they were locks to be in the playoffs at any point in time, really. I guess maybe when they were 8 points up a couple weeks ago, you reel off 7 straight losses, maybe. But it's not like I considered Detroit as a legitimate threat in the Eastern Conference at any point in time. So to call them frauds, I mean, I would almost have thought that would be the case for most of the year. Like, at best, Detroit's going to get bounced in the first round by whoever they play. That's just kind of the way I look at it. Maybe they look at a matchup against the Rangers. Maybe they play Florida, depending on how it all shakes out. Or maybe they don't get in. So I think you keep that one in your drafts and make sure that Stevie Y doesn't come after you, because that's the last thing you want out, brother.
I'll say this. One of the things that prompted this take is the Detroit Red Wings currently sit 29th in the NHL in expected goals. Below the Ducks, below the Canadians, below the Blue Jackets. And that's why it's like, okay, yes, teams won games and they've put up points, but the process clearly isn't there. And that's kind of where I was going with that one there. It was kind of a jarring stat to see them so low in that ranking. And they're just, they got lucky with some saves early, I think. But we'll see what they got down the stretch. They still got a chance, I guess. They still got a chance. Next, we've got, what do we got here? The UPL will drag the Buffalo Sabres into the playoffs.
Oh, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Definitely the best name in the NHL, 100%. Right? Yeah. Like, I don't think anyone would come close, but you're going to want to delete your account here, my friend. I hate to break it to you. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen isn't going to drag the Buffalo Sabres into the postseason.
See what he's done the last 3 weeks?
The last 3 weeks are great, but what about the first 3 months of the
He didn't play.
Season? Well, he was in, and now he had opportunities, no doubt. I don't believe in the Buffalo Sabres. They've had a little bit of a run here over the last couple of weeks, in large part due to the exploits of Mr. Pekka Luukkonen, but I am not a believer in what Buffalo is selling. I think they remain on the outside looking in when the season concludes. Delete your account.
It's not. I don't think it's delete your account, but it is. Put it in the drafts there alongside the Detroit one, because I still think it's a coin flip of who's making it in there. I agree with Johnny. I think that Tampa is going to find a way. There are just too many special players on that team. But then it's a coin flip. Does Philly drop down? Does the Islanders get in there? I'm in the Island. I'm going to see the Islanders up close and personal tomorrow. We'll see what they've got. Patrick Waugh, AB, you're talking about underlying numbers. Since Patrick Waugh's taken over, I believe all of their metrics are top 5 in the league. Now, they've been shut out 2 games in a row, and we'll see what Ottawa has for them tomorrow. Ottawa's played some real tight checking games in the last couple, so, they're going to have that. But I think Detroit, I might have the upper hand on Buffalo, even though Buffalo's the hotter team. So I'm just saying, leave it in the drafts there along that beside the Detroit one. You're just being too hot button right now. You're really running hot, AB.
Well, speaking of running hot, let's transition over to the NFL, where things have been hot and heavy in the trade market. And we had another big trade today. We talked about a couple of the deals that were made. One was a big-time move up in the draft. If draft picks, the Vikings moving up to the 23rd overall selection. They now have 2 picks in the first round. And hear me out. The Vikings, I think they package those 2, trade up to number 3, take a quarterback, and then the Patriots get those extra picks, and then they trade for Justin Fields.
Man. Didn't capitalize Patriots either there. So wings and Pats.
Yeah, Pats.
The disrespect continues. I think Minnesota's going to have to trade more than just those 2 picks in order to move up.
I went and looked at it. They got the value chart or whatever it is.
Yes.
So those 2 picks, pick 11 and pick 23, if they add their 3rd round pick, or
that's enough for the 3rd overall.
2, that supposedly, if you go by the value chart, is enough to move up to number 3 overall.
The New England Patriots haven't drafted for good reason. They've had the GOAT for a long time in Tom Brady. Then they use a first-round pick on Mac Jones, number 15 overall, a couple years ago. They ship him out to Jacksonville for a 6th. This is the most obvious opportunity for them to select a franchise quarterback, and it seems quite likely that it will be Drake May out of Carolina, who is available at number 3. Sounds like Jaden Daniels is destined to be a Washington Commander. We know Caleb Williams almost certainly going to Chicago. Just take the quarterback. Don't overthink it. What do you want, 11 and 23 and a 3rd rounder for if you're New England? Take a swing on a guy who could swing the fortunes of your franchise.
Oh,
right.
I agree.
Professional
I think the
broadcasting
Patriots,
noodles.
Yes, I think they do need a quarterback. They do. So I wasn't following your tweet because you're like, hear me out, do all of these ridiculous things and all that. The Patriots need a quarterback, and I think so you're saying trade for one or just take the number 3 pick?
Take the quarterback at number 3.
Basically, either you take the quarterback at number 3 or they trade it to the Vikings and then make a deal and they make Justin Fields the quarterback.
No. Take the quarterback. We all know what Justin Fields is.
Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it.
Take the quarterback at 3 and move on with life and delete that. Don't delete your account, but put that in the drafts or delete that tweet.
The tweet.
It's ridiculous.
So
yes, get rid of it.
Yesterday,
what's funny is I actually tweeted that out. I tweeted out the Vikings.
Really?
Oh, really?
The Vikings, when I saw the trade, I think I quote tweeted whoever had it, Rappaport or something, and basically said, first move to moving up to number 3, ? I think it's possible. I don't know if the Fields part is, but
it could be somebody else too. Maybe they look at 5 or 6.
I mean,
or 7.
the Vikings, they have to be moving up in the draft.
You don't think Sam Darnold is their long-term fix at quarterback?
No, I do not.
Okay. No.
But whether or not it's 3 or it's 4 or it's 5, if they really want to move up and get Drake May, or if they feel like J.J. McCarthy is good enough to move up and grab in like the top 7-ish, I don't know if you want to give up that much to go and get McCarthy, but I do believe, I would be shocked if the Minnesota Vikings don't package those 2 picks to move up and take a quarterback.
So I'm seeing this story with the Yankees right now that they are having George Costanza bobblehead night on July the 5th. 18,000 bobbleheads, and this following yesterday's story with the Jaromir Jagr bobbleheads stolen off a truck. And I guess some vouchers was given out to all the fans who were at the Penguins game last night against the Sharks. But this Costanza bobblehead, that is a hot commodity. When was Seinfeld off the air? Was that 98, the final episode of Seinfeld? I believe it may have been 1998.
Before that,
maybe even before that.
It's held up long. It's held up really strong.
The relevance that it still maintains in our day-to-day lives. And I'm sure you guys are the same. Like my friends and I, there's Seinfeld references constantly. And now there's Costanza bobblehead night at Yankee Stadium. It's unbelievable the way that show has held on for all these years, and I don't see it going away anytime soon.
No.
I'd like to have a reunion for them or a movie or something because, it just to kind of bring it into this next generation, but I feel like Jerry won't let it. Like I feel like Jerry would just shut it down.
Well, you saw the Curb Your Enthusiasm reunion, right? With Seinfeld at the end. I guess that was kind of the idea behind that, was Seinfeld reuniting in Curb, which actually I thought was pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of money there to be made for some people.
I rewatched it recently. It was like one of those, shows that I watched like before bed, and I got to the end. I forgot how it ended.
And just walked away.
They just ended up in jail. That's how it ended. It's
wow, spoiler alert, dude! Come on, there's people out there.
I don't know why.
Seen
I don't know
Seinfeld.
what happened. But yeah,
there it is.
I remember
there's
being
the
so confused by
Costanza.
That's
assistant to the traveling secretary is the nameplate on the Costanza bobblehead up on TSN4.
Awesome.
That is glorious. What a stud. What a stud.
Same hair, same everything. I mean, that show was brilliant. You know what was great about that show is I honestly believe they didn't have a bad show. Like, I feel like every episode, because I would watch that, I guess, in real time. You'd watch it every Thursday, prime time, whatever it was. I felt like every show had something brilliant in it. Like, a storyline, something. Like, same thing with Curb. Like Curb kind of, early on I was like, I don't know about this Curb. And then it just got more brilliant. Like it got, like the Larry David is a genius, you know, so comedic genius. So I loved every episode of Seinfeld. The one, my favorite is when George is the hand model. He's walking around with the oven mitts on. Good. And then like he's sitting on the couch fixing his nails, like emery board and all of that. And his mom says, "Would you like some Jell-O?" And the dad chimes in, "You put bananas in the Jell-O." George likes it that way. And they start fighting. It is honest to God, it's one of my favorite episodes. Yeah. I love that episode.
Frank and Estelle. There are some clips on YouTube of like bloopers of George's dad. Frank is just Jerry Stiller. It's absolutely incredible. And I would highly advise people check that out after the conclusion of OverDrive here on TSN4 and TSN 1050. We've got Marty Biron to kick off the 6 o'clock hour. CJ Miles, Raptors Magic tonight down at Scotiabank Arena. Korolnek, McLennan, DeStefano. OverDrive continues. All right, every day this week we have announced a Leafs lineup player of the day, and today is no exception. It's also Friday. So today's Leafs lineup player of the day for the final day of the week is Tyson Barrie. The number is 416-870-1050. The first caller through who can name each player in this week's lineup will win a pair of tickets to see the Leafs and the Oilers on March 23rd. Again, that's the best game of the year, in my opinion anyways, not playoffs anyways. Plus, we're throwing in a $250 Vanilla Visa prepaid card. Vanilla prepaid cards are available for purchase at Petro-Canada. You know, like I do the morning show, right? We have our own set of reads. When you're reading new reads, it can be a little challenging, more so than you think, especially when you're an idiot like myself. So that makes it even more difficult. So anyways, Wyndham Clark at the Players' Championship is on fire. Well, he's finished his round. He's 7 under today. Finished at 14 under par. Now, Wyndham Clark won the U.S. Open last year, and he looks primed to win the Players as well this year. Now, they're just done 2 rounds, but he's in excellent position. Matthew Fitzpatrick is 9 under par. Maverick McNeely, 9 under par, as is Nick Taylor. Nick Taylor, our boy. And
Hazy's boy.
Yeah, it's right. It's a very close friend of Brian Hayes. I'm sure Brian is on vacation, dialed into how Nick Taylor is performing at the Players' Championship. By the way, we need to play the clip of the O-Dog last night from the quiz? Noodles, did you see that last night?
I heard about it though.
We're gonna play that. We're gonna play that in the next hour. That's my promise to you. It is high quality content. Excellent work from the O-Dog, who along with Brian Hayes will be back on the show on Monday afternoon. Overdrive Hour 3 is coming up. Al's brother, Jamie McLennan, Aaron Korolnek, TSN 2. We'll see you soon.